As you certainly, and we're focused here a lot on the families that need the encouragement and the support, and I'm so thankful that you both authored this book, Called to Serve, Encouragement, Support, and Inspiration for Military Families. Tell me a little bit about the process of writing this book. You approach a lot of different aspects. We've talked a little bit about fear and transitions and things, but there's other issues as well that you dive into just to provide a resource for those who are serving and their families as well. Just tell me a little bit about the process of putting this book together with your husband.
Oh, you bet. It was definitely God 2x4'd me over the head with the idea of this book. It was when this came to us, every single door opened, and we knew that we had to do this because there are so many challenging issues that our military face daily. And what we did is that we partnered up with chaplains from all the different armed forces and also with Christian counselors. And they identified the top stressors that are affecting our military. And so through our personal stories, we weave all of their great advice and guidance into the stories, into those that we've interviewed. We cover topics such as pornography and alcohol abuse. We talk about moving. My son he just was sworn into the Army several weeks ago, and that was an incredible eye-opening experience, because when you get married to a spouse who's in the military, you know what you're signing up for. But as a parent, when you've protected this child all your life from wading into the deep end when they were small and from playing with matches, and now you have to release them to go into the military and letting them go into God's protective arms from our own, that is really surrendering, your children to God's protection. And we go into that with parents. And one thing that I really like about this book is that there are so many patriotic Americans that wear red, white, and blue on days other than the 4th of July, and that shed a tear when the national anthem is playing. And they pray for troops that they've never met, but they don't really know how to support them. So we wanted to give an avenue to those Americans that really want to support our military, and we do this through the list of resources. There are so many wonderful organizations that are out there that are supporting our troops, but a lot of American civilians don't know that they're out there. So we like to connect them so they now can nurse that need to do that.
Sure. Let's come back and we'll talk a little bit more about that, some of those organizations and just some things that people can keep in mind for the families that they know that may be right in their communities, perhaps down the street, or family members, and give them some new thoughts here as far as ways to be a support and encouragement to them. The book is called Called to Serve, and it's authored by Lieutenant Colonel Tony Manetti and his wife Penny, and Penny is our guest here this morning. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with more in a moment.
A wide-ranging contemporary issues program. This is The Matter at Hand on WGRC.
Our guest for a few more moments is Penny Manetti, and she's authored, along with her husband, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Manetti, the book Called to Serve, Encouragement, Support, and Inspiration for Military Families. As we went to the break, you mentioned about just some of the resources. I'm just thumbing through here, looking at a real variety of ways in which people can reach out and help. And there's some organized ways in which they can do that, very specific military organizations that have support. There's organizations that deal with some of the issues you mentioned, whether it be alcohol abuse or other things that folks may struggle with because of a deployment and contributing to something like that. Just tell me a little bit about, as you put this list together, for people to be mindful of these kind of resources, but then also just for folks, you're in church and there's some families there that have people who are overseas or actively serving maybe elsewhere in the country, just to be there for them as an encouragement.
And for those people who, like you said, are next to the other family in church, just to reach out and to give them a hug and say, thank you for serving. That is, especially with Memorial Day around the corner, there's so many that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and those that are serving now. But we've got so many spouses that are by themselves right now as their warriors are serving in different countries. There's over 150 countries right now that 2.9 million of our servicemen are serving. And so for these families that are staying home, if you know of a family, going over and cutting their grass, or just their child has a baseball game and they don't have a dad that's going to watch them play baseball, just showing up to take their kids out for ice cream. Those are ways individually you can support. But through the organizations, like I said, that we have listed in our book, there are so many that are wonderful, wonderful organizations to support our families. But there's a Hugs for Smiles USA, or Kids Thank a Veteran. MilitaryMinistry.com is a wonderful organization that helps support our families and through PTSD for our spouses that are at home. But there's Adopt a Soldier, and that's one thing that we can't stress enough. When my husband was stationed overseas, he told me how much it meant when he got the box of cards from the third grade class that my son was in, and how he posted them around for all of the different, airmen to see, and how that lifted their spirits. So just to know that they're being remembered and that they're being appreciated is so important.
Earlier, you cited a verse from Deuteronomy, and I want you just to talk a little bit about your faith in Christ, and as you and your husband have, as you mentioned, 23 years here with him serving and really living out a lot of what you're talking about right here, as far as just the stress, the strain, the relocations, all the things that go into being a military family. Tell me a little bit about just your walk with Christ and how you've even grown in that walk, and I'm sure some of it struggle along the way as you've wrestled in your own way with these some of these issues as well.
Well, I can tell you, through our book, we become very transparent, and I believe that is only so we can share that, our faith, with others, and how that can strengthen military families that are going through some of these challenges. And we were, at one point, we were on the brink of divorce, and because of the deployments and the challenges and the things that go on in a normal life, the stresses that go on, but you add on the military challenges and it makes it even more. But because we knew when we got married, we made that commitment not only to each other but to the Lord. We really depended on that commitment and our obedience to the Lord. When our feelings for each other we felt like they had disappeared, we relied on that commitment, and we wanted to share that with those families that are on that brink themselves, that feel like their marriages there are no longer hope in their marriages. We're here to tell you that through our faith, you can get through any of this, and by obeying the Lord's commandment to stay together, that He works through these very difficult times, especially for our families that are being separated and are on their third and fourth tours away from each other. It becomes so challenging. But we go through the temptations of pornography. That is also an incredible temptation for our men serving overseas that are separated, and the ways that they can overcome these challenges. And it's through relying on Christ and through His strength and to meet our daily needs. And that's the message that we want to give to our military families, is just relying on the daily strength of the Lord.
I appreciate you so much sharing that. And Penny, I know we're basically out of time here. I do want to ask you a quick question regarding the children as well, because you have, is it 3 children of your own?
Yes, I do.
And just for folks, just as far as the thought process, things to keep in mind, maybe things you've learned as far as the kids in the home, as one of the parents may be away serving actively, just some ways to try and help the kids through that time.
Well, it always varies with the different ages of kids. When my kids were younger, I always liked to involve them with talking. Well, now you have Skype, which is wonderful. Back then we didn't. We had a little tape recorder that we used to pass tapes back and forth to Dad, and my son used to think that Dad lived in a tape recorder. But the best thing to do is to always keep the communication avenues open with your children. Explain to them what's going on. I would limit them from watching TV when there were big things going on. I would limit the negative influence and keep them around positive atmosphere. Keep them involved with activities with their friends, with their church. And we would always pray daily, for Dad. And that was the main thing, is knowing that no matter what, that the same Jesus that was with my children was with our dad, with their dad. And that gave them comfort, because they know that God is the comforter of all, and that helped them get through.
Penny Manetti, our guest, again joining us from Missouri. Her husband, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Manetti, both of them have authored the book Called to Serve, Encouragement, Support, and Inspiration for Military Families. You can find out more about this at area bookstores, and also check out their website. A lot of great stuff there. Some of what we've talked about here, you can find out more about the book and just other things they're involved in as well. It's calledtoserveministry.com. Again, that's calledtoserveministry.com. Well, Penny, thank you so much, and again, thank you to your family for serving our nation in this wonderful way. So thank you, Penny.
Thank you. It's our honor.